Cool. So, Ed, just want to say thank you for taking the time to be here. I always really value, your time and my own. And so just want to thank you for taking the time. The other day, you had shared a little bit about your experience when you were transitioning to go solar, what made that possible for you, some things that you had learned in the kind of discovery process that were surprising to you. And I was just hoping that you could share that with some other folks in case it's beneficial for them.
Yeah, absolutely. No problem. And thanks for having me. One of a number of factors led to us seriously considering solar again. One is that the price, the overall cost of solar seemed to go down. So we looked at solar about a year and a half ago, and looked at it again here in just the last couple of months, and the cost estimate for the exact same system was significantly lower, like by $4,000 to $5,000 less. So that was obviously a factor for us. The fact that the tax incentives changed, so I know that the tax rebate has gone up from the low 20s to closer to 30% now. So we've got federal and state tax breaks that are higher, and that obviously was a consideration for us. Third thing was we live in a more rural area that's in the mountains, and we get a lot of sunshine, and we also get power outages more frequently than when we lived in the big city. And so having solar rather than relying on Xcel, who's our electricity provider, has always been very attractive to us, but it's more attractive and more important to us since we have moved. And so that was sort of the third factor that led us to take another look at solar for our house.
Yeah, awesome. Well, really appreciate you sharing those things. And everyone is unique, but I think a lot of people can probably relate to just those couple of points that you made. Now, there was a couple of other things that you had mentioned just regarding like the type of loan and not being a lien on the property. Do you mind sharing about that?
Yeah, so those were all things so the factors that I just mentioned were all things that led us to be interested in looking at solar again. And then once we started the process, we discovered that there were some other pretty cool things. So I'm in the mortgage business. I'm a mortgage loan originator. And so I've, over the past 10 years, have run into a lot of situations where my buyers or borrowers have solar leases. So if they're refinancing or purchasing a home that has a solar lease, then many times that means there's a connection to the house as far as a second mortgage lien. And that can make things more complicated if you're selling or buying a house, or if you're even refinancing your current mortgage. So I was pleasantly surprised to learn that, the new financing for solar, that the lease programs have basically gone away, and they're now, most people that finance solar panels for their house do it with a loan, and was also surprised to learn that that's not a second lien on your property. It's just a loan using the panels themselves as collateral. And so that was super attractive to me, not knowing that I could do a loan that wasn't connected to my house. So I didn't have to worry about, if we sell or refinance, dealing with that and having that other lien attached to my property. So super attractive in the way that the financing goes nowadays. And then the second part of the financing was, in our particular situation, the terms of the financing and the loan are so good that we're able to do a loan for 100% of the cost of the solar panels, and that payment on that loan is no different than what we're paying for our electric usage on a monthly basis as it is right now. So not only is it attractive because it's not a second lien on the property, but it's also attractive because we can spread that financing out. We can do 100% financing, and it's sort of a no-brainer for us because the the loan payment's the same as what we're paying for our utilities. I know that may not be the case for everyone, but for us, that made that part of the decision super easy for us to move forward.
Absolutely, yeah. No, that's really great hearing you share that. And I know when people think about solar and are considering it, a lot of times, part of the conversation is looking at, future expenses and things like that. When you were considering, solar versus just sticking with the kind of utility standard plan, did that play a role? And can you tell me about that?
Yeah, absolutely. That was another thing that we discovered in going through the process with you, that I think I knew it was out there and a benefit, but I didn't really consider it seriously until you walked us through that process and told us kind of how that works. But yeah, that is super. There's two other things that are super attractive to us. One is being able to use renewable energy to power the electricity of our house. It's super important to us. And secondly, not having to rely on power companies that are in many cases monopolies. And then the third part of that was, everybody knows that their utility bills are going to go up, that these companies are going to continue to increase rates. I don't think most of us think about it because it's just kind of boiled into our normal budget, normal expenses. But the other super attractive thing for us is, if we are able to pay off our solar loan more quickly, we have zero payments for the cost of the solar panels as our utility company is increasing our electric rates. That's best case scenario. Worst case scenario is if we stick with the loan, then we have a fixed payment, fixed cost every single month for the next, for the foreseeable future, which is very easy to budget for, as opposed to not knowing what our electric bills are going to be increased to and not having any control over that. I think you went over it with me. I don't remember the numbers exactly, Sage, but I think you said it was somewhere between 6 and 12% is kind of the average of what utility companies are increasing electric rates by. Maybe off by that a little bit, but
yeah, that's what it's been in just the last couple of years. Historically, we usually go off of a more conservative estimate, about 5% annually, but we have seen kind of bigger increases in recent years. Yeah,
right. So even if we kept the loan, let's say it's a 10-year loan, in 8 years we're going to be making the same loan payment, and the electric part of our utility bill with those increases is basically going to be double what it is today, 8 years from now. So it was super attractive to us. That was something that we always knew was kind of in the mix with going solar, but it wasn't a big consideration for us until you took us through those numbers and showed us kind of what that looks like. So yeah, not relying on utility company, using renewable energy is super important to us. And then having this fixed payment that we can budget on. In 8 years, we might be paying $85 for our loan payment, and our utility bill, had we stuck with the utilities company, could be double that easily. So if not more. So that was another really important thing. And then just going back real quick to the power outages, we've decided not to do backup batteries initially for our system, but it is something that we're considering down the road because, most of our power, we have more frequent power outages, but when we have power outages here, it's not usually a day or 2 or 3 days. It's typically going to be an hour or several hours that we're without power. And so having that solar system with the batteries is something that we're really interested in looking at down the road, because that would easily cover those times when we've got a power outage for an hour or 2. We can have power when our neighbors don't, and we don't have to have a generator, and we don't have to rely on the power company. And I work from home, so that's important, for me. So that was something that we're not doing initially, but something that's easy for us to add on down the road that we're definitely going to consider.
I think that's huge, and I think you touched on a really good point, is that you don't have to do the batteries right away in order to be set up for them in the future, and that's what a lot of people are kind of choosing right now, because with the solar, it does, it can pay for itself with the current plans, And, and so being able to get set with that, where you're becoming producers of that energy. And then, when you're ready and when you want to and have the budget for it, you can then, have that storage capability as well. And we can plug that in for you. So, yeah, that's great. Well, Ed, just kind of lastly, obviously, it's going to be different for every home and every person's. There's a lot of factors that go into it. So I know it's hard for you to say, hey, everyone should get solar, and I wouldn't want you to say that. But would you recommend, what would you tell people about just getting a consultation, getting a design?
Yep. So a couple things I would tell them there. One, it's really good to work with you. The other thing that I didn't mention about your services and how you do business is that the company you're partnered with is one of the largest solar companies out there. And so that made me feel a lot more comfortable, because I know I'm getting the very best panels that are out there in the marketplace, and I know I'm getting them for the best price, and I know that you'll be able to get them. The smaller solar companies, I really worry about that, and I hear horror stories about people like that. So that's something else that you have going for you. And the fact that you're also a little bit different than some of the other solar companies, in the sense that you personally are not like super high pressure sales. You're just, I kind of look at the way you present your business as, this is a renewable energy solution option for you. I'm going to explain to you why I think it's important, but it's really up to you to decide what you want to do. So I just really like your sales approach. The solar industry, some of those salespeople can be really kind of pushy to some extent, and that's a huge turnoff for us. We don't want to be sold. We don't want to be pushed into anything. So that was something that was really important to us. And when I refer you to other people, I usually just talk a little bit about my experience with you, how our system ended up working out for us, why it's such a great deal for us. And I usually tell people, look, if you're really interested in getting away from fossil fuels and big energy companies and having your rates go up, and you're interested in renewable energy, whether your house is a good candidate for solar or not, you won't know. But it's always a good idea, I think, if those are interested and those are things that are important to you, just have a consultation with Sage. He's really good at explaining things and putting all the numbers together and letting you know from the very get-go a very accurate estimate of what things are going to look like. And then and his consultations are free, just costs a little bit of your time, and then you can at least explore whether or not you're a good candidate for solar. Prior house that we lived in, we were interested in solar as well, but it just was not a good candidate for solar for a number of reasons. So I just think it's if you're interested in renewable energy, getting away from fossil fuels, you want to be more independent in how you use energy. If you have electric vehicles, there's a lot of different reasons that people look at solar. And I think there's never been a better time, in my opinion. I've looked at it in the last 4 or 5 years. I think it's less expensive, the products are better, the loans are really good, and the rebates are good. So it's like, why not take a look at it? So that's what I tell people when I'm talking about solar. I kind of relay my experience with you and your company, and talk to people about, the things that I think are important about solar. And if they are in agreement with that, then it's probably a good idea to have a consultation about it.
Awesome. Well, really appreciate your feedback. Hopefully that's helpful. I think it will be. I know that it will be very helpful for a lot of other individuals listening to this recording after the fact. So again, thanks for your time, Ed. Thanks for being open-minded and becoming an owner of your own power. So we're excited for you to join that community of people doing that around the country.
I'm looking forward to the day that I get to turn on my phone app when the panels are actually connected and see what's going on with us generating our own energy. I'm sure that's a super important, exciting moment for all the people that get solar. But yeah, we're looking forward to that pretty soon. And it's been great working with you. I highly recommend both you and the company you work for.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks, Ed. So Ed's in the final stages of his process, where we're getting through permitting for him to get his panels installed and everything. So just letting people know where you're at in the process. Awesome. Cool. Well, thanks, Ed. Have a great day, everyone.